You'd think the real airport trouble comes from the usual suspects: power banks, liquids, luggage weight, boarding passes that refuse to scan. Your phone? That's supposed to be the one thing that's safe. Until an officer looks up and says,
"Can I see your phone?"
Everything stills. The crowd keeps shuffling forward, but you're no longer part of it. That tiny screen in your hand suddenly feels heavier than your suitcase. Every photo, every message, every private chat frozen under someone else's stare. And yes, it happens every single day. You just don't know it. So why are travelers being stopped? Who has the right to hold you back? And what should you actually do if it happens to you? Let's see how one small screen can turn a flight plan into a full-blown investigation. Here's the first thing you need to know. TSA has no legal authority to search your phone. CBP does. TSA officers can only ask you to power it on, to prove it's a real device, not a disguised explosive. Their job ends at physical security. They deal with threats you can see or touch, not the data stored in your pocket. Step a few feet farther to the Customs and Border Protection Zone, and the rulebook flips. CBP officers work under what's called Border Search Authority, a power that lets them inspect your electronics without a warrant or probable cause. They can also make a forensic copy of local data. Under DHS policy updated in 2017, they're not supposed to access cloud-stored files once the phone is offline. In practice, that line blurs fast. And here's where the numbers start to matter. CBP's own data shows agents searched about 47,000 devices out of 420 million border crossings in 2024, roughly one traveler in every 9,000. It sounds rare, but that's still tens of thousands of people each year handing over their digital lives. The Guardian reports that enforcement has grown increasingly unpredictable in recent years, with little transparency about who gets chosen. Some cases look random, others don't. Tourists, students, business flyers, journalists, anyone can be stopped. And yes, even US citizens aren't fully protected. Your passport guarantees re-entry. Privacy? That's another story. What would you do if you were pulled aside for 2 hours? No phone, no updates, just waiting? Inside the inspection area, time feels uneven. Officers move with quiet precision. No raised voices, no explanations, just paperwork sliding across a desk. You're asked to unlock your phone, maybe with a smile, maybe with a tone that makes no sound unrealistic. On paper, it's a request. In the room, it feels closer to instruction. Once you comply, your device can be searched manually or copied in minutes with forensic tools. If you refuse, CBP can still keep it under temporary detention, a phrase that suggests a timeline but doesn't guarantee one. As the Electronic Frontier Foundation puts it in their guide, this presents a no-win dilemma. If you comply, agents can scrutinize and copy your sensitive digital information. If you decline, they can seize your devices, subject you to additional questioning and detention, or escalate the encounter. And even US citizens live in that gray zone. They must be readmitted, yes, but their devices can still be cloned or shared with other agencies if labeled relevant. For visa holders, the risk cuts deeper. A polite refusal can end a trip before it begins. At US pre-clearance airports overseas, a single no can erase months of planning. Green card holders usually pass through until a random flag turns a routine arrival into an unexpected review. And for students or temporary workers, the phone becomes its own liability, full of research files, private notes, and casual messages that can be read in ways they were never meant. And the EFF points out what really keeps this cycle going. Most passengers unlocked their devices voluntarily, not because the law required it, but because of pressure. Fear of missing a flight, being questioned for hours, or not knowing when they'd see their phone again. These aren't hypotheticals. They're real cases pulled from recent border reports, proof that what happens inside that inspection room isn't rare at all. A French scientist arrived in Texas in early 2025 for a university exchange. Visa valid, papers clean. Officers checked his phone and found private messages critical of the US government. He wasn't accused of a crime, yet he was denied entry and placed on a flight home. Weeks after that, Canadian sociologist Nathan Kalman Lamb flew to South Carolina for a conference. When CBP officers took his phone for a routine check, The consent form he was given authorized the government to copy and share his data with military and intelligence agencies. He was released after several hours and later said he would never fly to the U.S. again. And then came a Michigan attorney, Amir Maclid, stopped at Detroit Metro Airport in April 2025 after returning from vacation. Agents questioned him for nearly 90 minutes and pressed him to hand over his phone, allegedly because he had represented a pro-Palestinian protester. CBP called the screening routine, but Maclid called it intimidation. Different people, different stories, but one pattern. None were charged. None broke the law. All were stopped because of what was found or misread on their devices. A border officer doesn't need hacking skills to see your world, just curiosity and a few minutes with your phone. And what they find rarely looks dangerous at first. Most of it's just awkward. That playlist you built for red-eye flights? It's full of breakup songs, and now someone's reading it like a psychological profile. The meme about politics you posted last year, the officer scrolls past it twice, as if deciding whether it's humor or hostility. Even a half-written text saying, "might stay longer," suddenly feels like a confession when you're standing under fluorescent lights. At home, your phone is part of the noise, messages, playlists, photos that capture the chaos of real life. But under border lights, that same phone suddenly talks too much. It shows pieces of you out of order, like a story someone else decided to edit. That's why it helps to leave traces that make sense. Not a spotless screen, but a believable one. Something that looks human. I didn't do anything wrong. That's what most travelers tell themselves, right before their phones start saying otherwise. Border officers aren't just scrolling for contraband. They look for patterns, repeated messages about overstaying, money transfers, or ties to criminal activity. Even the act of deleting things can raise more questions than what's left behind, because forensic tools can restore data if it hasn't been overwritten, sometimes going months back. So yes, wiping your phone clean right before a flight might look more suspicious than keeping it messy. A Brown University doctor, Rasha Alawieh, found that out the hard way. She deleted photos from her phone, thinking she was being careful. But at the border, agents found the incriminating images still sitting in her iPhone's recently deleted folder. Photos from a Hezbollah memorial she had already declared. Hours later, she was deported to Lebanon and her visa revoked, all because of what she thought was erased, not what remained. The message is simple. Real preparation starts early. How and when you clean your digital trail matters as much as what you delete. So stay with me, because next, we're breaking down how to keep both your phone and your trip safe from all of this. As mentioned earlier, don't wipe your entire phone in one night and call it preparation. Real digital cleanup takes time. Start early, move slowly, and make it look natural. About a month before your trip, back up everything you truly need: photos, documents, work files, to an encrypted cloud or a password-protected drive. Once it's safely stored, begin deleting the things that don't belong on a border officer's screen. Old chats, private photos, screenshots you forgot existed. Do it in stages, a little at a time. Fast, frantic deletions are the digital equivalent of packing in a panic, and they look like it too. By the 2-week mark, start separating your travel life from your personal one. If you can, prepare a second phone or a clean user profile that holds only what's essential: your itinerary, hotel bookings, offline maps, and emergency contacts. Keep your main device backed up at home. If you must bring it, factory reset it after backup, then reinstall only what's relevant for the trip. This way, even if someone checks your phone, they see nothing more exciting than flight confirmations and a weather app. In the final few days before departure, it's all about tightening small details. Turn off syncing for email and social media, disable Bluetooth, Wi-Fi Auto Connect, and NFC. Charge fully before the airport. A dead phone can raise suspicion faster than a locked one. Set up a guest mode or limited account, ready to switch on if asked to unlock. And most importantly, remove Face ID and fingerprint unlocks. A passcode means control. Biometrics mean access for anyone holding your device. When your trip's over, don't relax just yet. Change every important password, log out of travel accounts, and monitor your devices for unusual activity. If your phone was taken or searched, treat it like a contaminated file. Scan it, reset it, or retire it. And if you travel often, consider what frequent flyers quietly swear by: a burner phone with nothing personal on it. English language, basic apps, no drama. It's not paranoia, it's planning. At border control, clarity matters more than confidence. The way you hold eye contact, how steady your tone stays, those tiny cues tell officers you're alert, not anxious. The key is knowing who you're dealing with. Again, TSA handles physical security. CBP decides who enters the country. Once you've figured that out, match your pace to theirs. Don't fill the silence and don't over-explain. If they ask, "Where are you coming from?" say, "New York." If they follow up, business or vacation. Keep it simple. Vacation. 5 days. Return flights on Friday. That's it. Short, factual, neutral. Every extra sentence you add is another place the conversation can go wrong. When an officer asks you to unlock your phone, do it with intention. Type the passcode yourself. Never say it aloud. It's not about secrecy. Spoken numbers can be picked up by nearby mics or recorded on body cams. By entering it quietly, you're cooperating while keeping your code off the record. If your phone is taken for inspection, write down what's happening. Note the officer's name, badge number, and what was accessed. Ask for a written property receipt before leaving the counter. These aren't acts of defiance. They're documentation that protects you if questions come up later. And if the exchange starts to feel off, stay composed and ask to speak with a supervisor or an attorney before continuing. That single step can reset the tone and slow everything down. Real composure lives in the small moments. The steady breath before you speak, the pause that keeps you one step ahead. You already know the rules and what's at stake, so let that guide you, not the pressure of the moment. By now, you know how to handle the human side of border control. The problem is, the humans aren't the only ones watching anymore. Artificial intelligence has slipped quietly into the travel routine. It doesn't shout or flash. It hums in the background, learning from everything you do. Cameras that used to just record now analyze faces in real time. Boarding gates that once beeped now calculate risk scores before they open. At more than 40 US airports, your photo is matched against a government archive before you even touch your passport. The process feels fast and convenient. That's the trick. Convenience always comes first. Consent usually comes later. Somewhere inside a DHS data center, algorithms are already guessing who you are. They notice patterns you didn't mean to leave behind: a last-minute ticket purchase, a second phone, a social post that mentioned travel plans or border jokes. To a machine trained to see threats, those details form a story. And machines love stories. They just don't always read them right. Even your phone plays a role in the script. The moment Bluetooth or Wi-Fi wakes up at border crossings, the system can start tracing connections, potentially linking your device to nearby ones. It's like automated surveillance, permanent and mathematical. And then there's the online part. DHS has publicly confirmed that its AI tools scan open social platforms for topics of national interest. That means your old tweet about flight delays or politics technically sits in the same digital bucket as real intelligence targets. The machine doesn't know context, it only counts keywords. There's no switch to turn this system off, but there's a way to outsmart it. Stop feeding it. Keep your phone quiet until you need it. Skip the airport Wi-Fi, skip the check-in selfie, and skip broadcasting that you're finally free from work while standing at the gate. Algorithms can't misread what they never see. Airports used to test patience. Now they test privacy. The best flyers aren't invisible, they're simply uninteresting. Blend in, move lightly, and let the system scroll past you without finding a story to tell. They used to say a passport proves who you are. Now your phone does that long before you reach the counter. It remembers everything. Not because it wants to, but because that's what it was built to do. And that's where the real choice begins. You can travel as a data trail or as a person who still owns their story. The border will keep changing. Scanners, rules, even faces behind the desk. But what never changes is this: the right to decide which parts of yourself cross with you. You already know everything you need to protect your phone and the freedom that comes with it. Share it with the people you travel with, your friends, your family. The more we understand the rules, the harder it becomes for power to play outside them.